Richard, thanks very much for joining us today. Thank you very much for giving us some of your time. I was wondering if you could just start by letting us know what led you towards using the Fast ForWord programs.
As a school, we were looking for programs that would support those children who we saw as underachieving in the literacy area. Initially, the project for Fast ForWord was done as part of a learning support project that we're involved in. So traditionally, we'd used support programs for students that had relied on teacher aides, usually providing practice and implementing programs that teachers had developed. In 2011, we started to change those programs, driven by a couple of things, and one of those was a challenge by our Minister of Education, and she made the comment that it's not okay for 1 child in 5 to fail in New Zealand schools, and I found that really challenging. And when we went back and reviewed our achievement data, we found that in some of our year groups we did show a 1 in 5 failure group. So, you know, where we might get 85% of students achieving at expectation, that's still quite a large group who were not. So I guess finding programs that were different to the ones that we were doing and that had credibility was what we were looking for.
Your initial responses to the Fast ForWord program, I take it, have been positive?
Very positive. Initially, I liked it because the kids told me it was hard work. They found it challenging and they wanted to go back. The findings of the program, you know, the data that the program generates itself were also really positive. And we started to see some spin-off in classroom. Then in that first year, we also started to look at ASTL data, which is some norms-based tests that we run. And we found that the children that had been in the program were showing really strong growth when using ASTL as an independent measure. So this year, 2013, will be our 3rd year.
Did you have any expectations prior to starting? Did you have any idea as to how you might see the changes coming out of your students from using the Fast ForWord programs?
Probably when we first started, I was just open-minded. I don't rule I've been around long enough not to rule anything out. And I think we've done a lot of professional development anyway with the Brainwaves Trust in New Zealand. So the staff here are pretty open-minded to some of those concepts about, you know, rewiring the brain and re-establishing pathways and consolidating pathways.
You mentioned earlier that you started by joining a small trial. Just exactly how small was that trial in your school?
Initially, I'm pretty sure it was 10 children, and we had children or groups of children in other schools in the cluster as well.
And what ages did that span?
We initially implemented it just for year 5 and 6 students. From now, we're actually looking at picking up year 4, 5s and 6s. And the group has grown from 10. Last year we had 39 children in the group. So the data we gathered last year was across 39 students. And we, again, use ASTL as our independent measure. So we're using effect size growth as our measure when we're aggregating that data.
That's some fairly significant growth in numbers over a fairly short space of time, I would suggest. I'm just wondering, do the students still think that it's hard work?
Yes, they do. And last year I had 3 of the group came to see me because they didn't want to be out of the classroom doing the program. So what we did for then was modify our timetable. So we allow now an 8:30 start slot. So those children who don't want to be out of normal classroom time to do it actually can join in. I think when the children see the growth that they're making, and they understand what their needs are, I haven't had anyone go ahead and withdraw. They've all opted to do it. So we run lunchtime catch-ups. I like the before school slot, because I think with like our year 6 students, which are the oldest students in our school, I think it's important for them also to realise that they just have to work a bit harder. So, yeah. And they do. They have to put in more time, and I think the kids understand that too. But as long as they can see progress and they're getting good feedback from the teachers in their classroom, then I think they go for it. We see Fast ForWord as an added advantage to successful classroom reading program.
Have the students actually been able to describe to you how they've felt themselves developing and improving?
Probably the most significant one was one of the students last year. It was probably had a little bit more challenging background, and just in terms of his family life. And he just related to being a successful reader to actually getting a good job, which is kind of, not what you'd expect from a year 6 student. But for him, learning to read and being a successful reader was actually part of shifting out of that or creating a different reality for themselves as an adult. Most of the kids just like to know they're better.
Yes.
That they can read, they experience success in the classroom. I think Fast ForWord also provides a better result for students where teachers understand what it's done and how the program supports students, because they can then bring that back into the classroom program as well. And that's something that we've done this year. We've had a day-to-day actually where all our year 4 to 6 teachers have been exposed to the program, have a beginning understanding of it, and will complete the training program. So yeah, I want it to be something that's integrated into general classroom life, rather than something that kids go away somewhere else to have done to them.
How significant do you think it is to have a key person managing and facilitating the program in the school?
I mean, for us, that's been part of the success. And I think it takes a really methodical, organised person, because, she's always chasing down the kids. She's there before they start. She works with them. She reviews their data. She feeds back to the teachers. So although the person running it in our school is not a trained teacher, she is an experienced facilitator, and she does know how to really work successfully with children.
Some of the responses that I've had from people using the programs, people that I've interviewed in the past, have reported that they themselves in a management or facilitation role have also experienced a lot of personal satisfaction from the feedback from the students. Has that been the situation with your facilitator?
Well, I think, yes, without a doubt. And also for teachers. I mean, everyone comes to school to be successful. No teacher turns up to run an unsuccessful reading program. So I think once people start to see that it works, you've got a natural enthusiasm builds for it.
How helpful has the support from the LearnFast team been in the implementation of the program in your school?
Really, really important, I think, and really, top class. And I think that's through email, through phone, through a presence in school. And I know sometimes that presence in schools can be a challenge for people who are based outside of New Zealand, but I still think it's critical. And the ditch isn't that big, so it's not that hard to cross.
Would you recommend this to other principals?
I do. And in fact, we still are running it as a cluster initiative through our RTLB. So The RTLB clusters themselves in New Zealand schools changed in 2012, and so instead of having numerous clusters, we now only have 40 clusters across the whole country. So Arahoe, which is the school where I'm principal, we're the lead school for Cluster 6. So what that has done for us is given us a broader audience to bring in to the fold, as it were. So we've got 2 new schools have joined us today, and all of our RTLB have done that initial training as well. So yeah, we will continue to promote this as a really viable option for schools offering those second, third, fourth chance learning things for kids, because it works for us. And I've got no doubt that if it's implemented in similar ways, it'll work for all kids. Because one of the little experiments we did last year was, of that 39 children, 5 of those children were children who don't present with reading difficulties. So in school speak in New Zealand, they're at standard, and they wouldn't normally be involved in second chance or third chance programs. And we put them through Fast ForWord, because I guess the question for me is, does it have a similar impact for students who are already judged as being efficient readers or reading at a level commensurate with the expectation? And the short answer, it does. They made the same sort of growth as those students who were underachieving. So I guess for us that question now is, how can we extend our program so that we're looking at students who are at expectation, lifting them into that above group. So the question I had was, does it work as an accelerant program as well as a remedial program? And I think we'll also extend that trial this year, so we just have a bit more information rather than just 5 kids.
Well, a very positive future to look forward to. Richard, thanks very much for your time.
That's no problem. Thank you.